Shalom. Welcome to Awaken to Torah. This is our weekly Torah portion. I'm going to try to record the Torah portion a week in advance every week. This is our first Torah portion since we come back on YouTube. Today's Torah portion is Beshalach, or from Shemot, or Exodus, chapter 13, verse 17 through Exodus 17 through 16. I have my little cheat sheet notes over here, so if you see me looking away from you now and then, I'm cheat sheeting it. This is a long Torah portion. We have so many facets going on here. At the beginning, we're leaving Egypt. We're on the road traveling into the wilderness. The Father was going to take us through or had planned maybe to take us through the Philistines because the Torah makes mention of it, but decided that if we, the children of Israel, saw the wars that were going on, that we might repent and want to return to Egypt because of the battles that were being shown. But then we make it to the sea, and we're camped out there. The Father has led us from Egypt with a pillar of a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. And now Pharaoh has heard that we fled. So he's gathered 600 chariots, and he's following us and pursuing us to the side of the sea. The children of Israel began to murmur and complain and said, basically you brought us out here, Moses, just because there wasn't enough graves in Egypt. So now they're just going to kill us now. Realizing that Moses was raised in Pharaoh's house. He was, for all intents and purposes, although he was a Jew and was the prophet chosen by the Father to lead the children of Israel, in many of their minds, he was still Moses, who was raised in Pharaoh's house. So they thought that this may have been some cynical plan, that Moses, there wasn't enough graves in Egypt, so he just let them out there so they could just kill them all and drown them in the sea, which is not uncommon for what happened in Egypt, because we know they drowned all the firstborn. Hence the reason why the Father killed all the firstborn. Another story. Let's go on with this week's Torah portion. But they get to the Red Sea and they start murmuring and complaining again, and Moses tells them, you're not going to do nothing. You're going to remain silent. And the Father is going to fight this battle for you. He is going to do this whole thing for you. And we need to realize that sometimes we are in a place in our life that everything just feels like we cannot go on. There's nothing we can do. The obstacles are insurmountable. So that is when we need to realize that we serve a true and living Elohim, one that will not leave us for food for the dogs, who did not lead us into the wilderness to die, but one who has led us out of Babylon to be a chosen child of His, and He's going to give us the protection that we need. So it's in those times that He will proverbially open the Red Seas in our lives and let us walk across on dry ground while our enemies are overcome by the waves. That's what happened here. Moses quieted the children of Israel, and he stretched out his rod over the sea, and the children of Israel went across the sea on dry land. When they're safe on the other side, Moses again stretches out his rod, and the walls of the sea that they had just walked through collapsed on the children on Pharaoh and his army. The Father said something in that passage, though. He said that He was going to do it for His honor, because Pharaoh had said that every firstborn in the whole kingdom belonged to him. The Father said His children do not belong to any other king but Him. So for His honor, He destroyed the army of Israel and all of Egypt, or the army of Egypt, and all of Egypt was made to know that this was the one true Elohim, the Elohim of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Yaakov. His hand is not shortened to us today, neither was it shortened to them in that day. Now, we get across the sea and we sing the song of Moses, or the song of the sea. Some people call it either one. And right after we sing the song of the sea, about 3 or 4 days later, we start whining and complaining because we have no water. So we go to the brook and find water, but the water's bitter. The father speaks to Moses about a tree or branches from a tree, and Moses takes branches from a tree and lays it in the water, and the water becomes sweet. So he turns bitter water into sweet water. So we're good for a few days. Then the next thing you know, we begin to complain again. We're hungry. We're hungry. So the father tells Moses, okay, I'm going to give them manna in the morning, and I'm going to give them quail at night. And on the 6th day, Friday, on the 6th day, I'm going to give them twice the amount of manna that I would during the week. Tell them to gather it up and prepare it on the 6th day, so they can have it for the 7th day, because on the 7th day no manna is going to be given. But the children of Israel, just like they normally do not listen. They don't want to obey when they're told to do something. So they gather more than they're supposed to gather, and it turns to worms and begins to stink, and Moses gets angry. So when the 6th day comes around and the father gives them double the manna, they're doubting the father's word again through Moses, and they're like, well, should we get double the amount, or is it going to turn to worms and stink again? Moses tells them, just do what the father told you to do. Just get double the amount, prepare it so you can have it for tomorrow, and everybody stay in their own camp. Eat what you've gathered today. Don't come out of your dwelling. Just stay there and eat what the father commanded you to eat. I mean, I feel for Moses constantly having to deal with people that are doubting and questioning everything he says. Those of us that have been in leadership for a day or two, we understand that feeling. Maybe not quite to the extent that Moses felt it, but we understand that feeling a little bit. And I think that's why the Father has made some of us leaders, is so we would be able to identify with those types of feelings in that environment. But the children of Israel obeyed, and they gathered twice the amount, and of course it didn't rot and it didn't turn to worms. It was just as the father said, and no manna came on the 7th day. They ate manna in the morning and quail at night. And while they're traveling, they ran out of water again. So they began to murmur and complain again. Moses goes before the father again, and he's like, what am I supposed to do? These people are to the point they're about to stone me. And the father tells Moses, he said, bring the elders and go to this rock that I'm telling you to go to, and strike it with your rod, and water will come forth. So Moses went to the rock and struck the rock, and of course water came forth, and everybody began to believe. I mean, even though the Father had delivered them from Egypt by a mighty hand, I mean, they saw the plagues, they saw the firstborn die. They walked across the Red Sea on dry land. The Father had turned bitter water into sweet water. He had given them manna in the morning and quail in the evening. They were still doubting, still murmuring, still complaining, saying, is God with us or is He not with us? Sometimes that's who we are. I mean, we get to that mentality of, I realize you're God, but what have you done for me lately? We can't have that mentality with the Father. We are servants in His kingdom. He is not a servant in ours. We have reversed the roles in our mind, and we think that Yahweh is this genie in a bottle, that every time we rub the bottle, He's just going to jump out and go, poof, what is your command? We do not command Yahweh. He commands us. We are His servants. He is not ours. So when we're walking in covenant with Him, Of course, he's going to be gentle with us, just like a good father is going to be gentle with us. But there's going to come times that he's going to bring correction as well. And in those times, we need to perk up and listen. We need to learn the lesson, so we're not murmuring and complaining against what's going on in our lives. Sometimes we're going to feast, and sometimes there's going to be famine. We think of it as good times, and maybe times that are a little less comfortable for us. But when we think about this, it's the trials. We as a people have gone through this wilderness time and time again. Maybe you're going through that wilderness in your life today. I just want you to begin to trust the Father. Trust His Word. Get into His Word. Understand the promises that He's made to us as a people. We are the chosen children of Elohim. Avinu will not leave us to be food for the dogs. He brought us out. He brought you out of whatever situation you were in. And He's brought you to this place to be a shining name among the people of Israel. Understand that He wants the very best for you. He called us to be a nation of kings and priests. We are the ones that are going to be the light to a dark world, a world of sin. So the end of this Torah portion is Moses gets Joshua and begins to form an army because they're going to fight the Amalekites. And Moses at the battle, we all know the story, when his hands were raised, we would win. And when his hands fell, we would lose. So they came beside him and began to support his hands so we would prevail in this world. I want you to know that sometimes we need help. We can't do this thing on our own. Sometimes we just need somebody there to raise our hands, to help us hold them up. Because the weight of the world has been crashing down on us. Look for somebody in your life that can be that person, that can stand beside you and support you. But somebody that's going to support you in a right way. Somebody that understands that it is the will of the Father for you to prevail. Thanks for tuning in to Awaken to Torah. I hope you enjoyed this synopsis on the Torah portion for the January the 31st. Be blessed. Understand that the Father wants the best for you. Be encouraged. He loves you. He took us through this wilderness. Our shoes didn't wear out. There was no sick or feeble among us. I just want you to be encouraged this week. Thanks again for tuning in to Awaken to Torah. Give us a like on Facebook. Shalom.